Let's talk about what is the best exercise for each body part to get the most hypertrophy, muscle size, and bang for your buck, being over 40. Now, right off the bat, there's a lot of explosive exercises that are great for building a lot of our leg muscles specifically. And those are like box jumps, sprinting, any power movements like that. I'm going to wipe those all out because I'm talking to my over 40 audience. A lot of us are chock full of injuries. We don't want to do some of those riskier moves. So what are my top exercises for each body part, and more specifically to get the most size? If you're building lean muscle, you want a little bit more size because it elevates your BMR, your basal metabolic rate, hopefully burn more calories. I know for the ladies, it's mostly going to be geared towards legs, and for the guys, everywhere. So that's the theme of this episode. If you're interested, stay tuned. How's it going? This is Brad Williams with Over 40 Fitness Hacks, the podcast where I help you, being over 40, to fight the aging process without giving up your social life. I've been a personal trainer and gym owner for over 14 years, and I specialize in helping the over 40 crowd get to their goals. If you need a little bit of guidance, check out my show notes. I have a link to schedule a free 15-minute Zoom call, and you can ask all the questions you want. But enough of that. Let's get on with the episode. So let's get into it. Let's start with the feet going up. Obviously, I'm going to skip any type of functional exercises like ankle, knee strength, all that, because that's not what this episode's about. It's, how do I get the most muscle the fastest, not only for aesthetics, but to just drive up our BMR. You can listen to other of my episodes or look at other functional type exercises or go to your physical therapy for more information on joint pain and that kind of stuff. So let's stick on topic. So with feet and ankles, we're really not going to care too much. Going up to the calves, that has been one of the worst things ever for me. There's all the different body types out there. Ectomorphs are more leaner, and the body either has more type 1 muscle fibers, which are slow twitch, which are fatigue resistant. They're more endurance muscles. That's what I have as an ectomorph. So literally your body's so efficient at with those types of muscle fibers for going forever. You cannot fatigue them and get them to grow. It's like literally impossible. For those luckily enough who are more like mesomorphs, you have more type 2 fibers or fast twitch, and those muscle fibers respond more to mechanical stress and growing in size. So if you have more of the type 1, like me, more of the ectomorph, really not much you can do. And the best things to do are the 2 calf machines that are the best, or the sitting down donkey calves, or the standing straight-legged ones where you're working more of the gastrocnemius part of your calf muscle. The sitting down donkeys are more working your soleus. Both are important. And for the ectomorph with more slow twitch type 1 fibers, the only thing you can do is slow it down. When I talk about time under tension with a lot of stuff I'm doing, I'm more in the 4 to 5 second range. With this and calves, literally 10 to 20 seconds down, 10 to 20 seconds up. And obviously, the more weight you can handle and still play by those numbers, the better. So increase if you can, but we have to do high reps, slow, to even be able to get 1/8 of an inch in circumference around our calves. So let's go to the other type, the type 2, the lucky ones, the mesomorphs. You'll respond very well. For a lot of females, they really don't want this. So don't even train your calves more than just functional work. But if you're someone who wants bigger calves, most likely a male, and you have this type 2 muscle fiber, then I would do 8 to 10 reps, heavy as you can go. Still, time under tension, I would still do the 4 to 5 seconds down, 4 to 5 seconds up. Really slow it down, but you don't have to do as many reps, and you can focus more on heavier weight, and you'll grow. So moving on up, let's get to the quads and hamstrings and glutes. I think by far the number one best exercise for all 3 of those is a Bulgarian split squat. You can look that up on YouTube. And there's ways to set your feet and get a wide step out. And as you go down, leaning forward, and as you push back up, not just standing up, but leaning forward and standing up, more of a diagonal motion. And you could check that on YouTube for the proper form. One thing is, if you have a back injury like I do, L5-S1, I'm sure the L4, L5 peoples have the same thing. Anytime we split our stance too wide, meaning one leg behind the other, it twists our sacrum and causes pain. So in that Bulgarian split squat for me, I just won't step out that far, but I'll still do my time under tension, 5 seconds down, 5 seconds up, doing that same diagonal up motion that you'll see on YouTube. And then for hamstrings, either some type of deadlift, single leg deadlifts. For me, I've got a same reason. I can't split my legs like that. So I got to stick with the both feet planted deadlifts and really slow down the time under tension. Just more for my back on that point. But if you don't have the back issues, I think the single legs is better. And then every now and then throwing in the leg curl machine. Toes pointed, really slowing that one down. Same thing, 5 seconds down, 5 seconds up. And then the only other couple of glute exercises to add in there to finish off the legs would be a sumo squat, either with a barbell or dumbbell, which we call a goblet squat. But basically, either way, your feet are a little bit wider, angled out to allow your body to drop lower safely with the way the mechanics are with your femurs and your hips, to where you can recruit more muscle fibers in the glutes. And then you see all the people doing the barbell hip bridges with their back even on a bench. And those are good. You just have to really know what you're doing because you can't hurt yourself. Then same thing, slow it down. You recruit more muscle fibers, you get more out of it, and you don't have to use as heavy weight. All right, let's moving on to core. With core, we're not really focused on size, but I just think the bulk of your stuff should be side planks and motions, regular planks and motions like hip dips or scooping an arm under each armpit, moving while you're in that perfect plank position. It's just better for the spine. You get the most out of it. And then I think if you want to do any other ab exercises, that's fine. Just mix them up. Never do the same one every day. That's where people get in problems with putting too much load on one segment of their spine. Then let's go into lower back. So lower back, you're already getting a little bit from the deadlifts. You can set yourself up on one of those platforms, a back extension bench, if you want to Google it to see what I'm talking about. But I think usually mostly just body weight and slowing it down, you get more out of it than being a little bit riskier and trying to grab like a weight plate on your chest and make it that much harder. The lower back is just something you just got to really be careful with. So I think body weight is the best on that one. And then moving up to more of your rhomboids, which is the center of your back. For that one, I really don't have an exercise that's the best. I like doing bench rows with heavy dumbbells or an incline bench or a cable machine rope pull. Any of those are fine and relatively safe. I can't really do the cable row bench because it's just so much tension pulling me forward with my lower back. I'd rather be on an incline bench laying on my stomach where my back is completely safe and I can go as heavy as I want. But there's multiple different exercises that will all do the same thing. So for that one, I would say just mix it up. And then moving up to your lats, anything like lat pull down or pull ups. There's not too many different exercises that will get the lats. So those are your two main ones. Also, slow it down. You'll get more out of it. I have a pull-up station in my gym that also has a platform for your knees, and you can add weights on there to lower your body weight so it's a little bit easier to do the pull-up. But I don't do it because I can't do pull-ups. I can knock out a good amount of pull-ups. But for me to do my time under tension, that's really hard to do with my body weight. So that's why I use that machine, take some of the weight off me, and then where I can very slowly knock out like 5 to 6 pull-ups and just get more out of the workout. All right, moving on up to the traps. I think for the traps, you really have to worry about neck pain and pissing something off. If you're a guy that just has to have the hypertrophy on traps, then basically shrugs is your best friend. Dumbbell shrugs probably the best. And then all the different types of positions with slightly bent elbows to straight arms to leaning forward slightly just to get all the different angles. For the rest of us, I think really lightweight and slowing down the shrugs almost to the point of just like with your calves, if you're an ectomorph, to really just suffer through it. 10 seconds down, 10 seconds up, way less chance of pinching a nerve in there. You'll get some growth, but I think just the over 40 crowd, that is one of the pains that's just going to keep coming back is a tweaked neck. So just watch out for that one. Let's go with shoulders, and there's not too many shoulder exercises even out there. And to tell you the truth, if you're working on chest, you're working on shoulders anyways. So your front delts always take the brunt of the force and get overdeveloped. So your mid delts and your rear delts are the ones that are lacking. So focusing on doing flies to the side, shoulder flies, I think is very important. Slowing that one down and also twisting your hands down so your thumbs are pointing down a little bit. And then also not just staying directly out to your sides. So do a few like that, then do a few at maybe a 60-degree angle, a few at the 45-degree angle, and then almost coming down every now and then go behind your glutes a little bit because you get more of a stretch. Anything that feels good, and then also slow that down so you just feel all that muscle recruitment. And for rear delts, there's always face pulls on the cable machine if you want to YouTube that one, or just getting a bench and a dumbbell and basically doing a back fly. But instead of your thumb pointing in front of you, you turn it to where your knuckles are facing forward and your thumb is pointing to your side of your body, and then doing that shoulder fly out to the side. So that really recruits the rear deltoid. So let's move on to chest. I think chest, you got to work the incline, you got to work the flat bench, and you got to work a decline. For me, with the decline, it's just too hard to get the bench down and heavy weight. So thank God we have a decline bench machine that simulates it, and I can go as heavy as I want while I sit upright. And it's a downward pressing motion to get the lower pecs. And then for being flat, just flat dumbbell. I like dumbbell bench more than barbell bench because you just recruit more muscles. Why not? And slow it down. Not only that, but then go to like a fly in that same position and slow it down. And incline. Incline, I don't mind doing a bench barbell for that because you're set up with a little bit of shoulder impingement already. So to add dumbbells and have to worry about balancing that while you're in a slight impingement doing those incline presses, I think it's probably worth sticking with a barbell on that one if you can. That way you can go a little heavier and not worrying about your joints having to catch up with you. So then the only thing left is biceps and triceps. And for those, doing different exercises for those is the best. Is constantly keeping them shocked and guessing different angles, whether you're using the cable machine, dumbbells, or barbells. I think just use them all. I don't put a huge focus on arms because when you're doing a full split of back day, leg day, chest day, on back and chest day, you're already working biceps and triceps, whether you think you are or not, you are. So if you just want a little extra size on them, then like I mentioned, just pick anything, slow it down, really recruit as much muscle fibers as you can. Then, of course, if you can handle more load, then increase the weight, and you should see a little bit more hypertrophy on there. So I think that's it. Those are some of my top exercises. Some body parts, I mentioned it's okay to just shock the body. I'm a big fan of shocking the body. I always have. So just always doing something different. But maybe think about the ones I said is the ones you can do every week, at least for one exercise that you're going to do 2 to 3 sets on. And then every other exercise you do for that body part, just try to mix it up. And I think that's the best thing. Less chance of pissing off something in your body because you're not doing it all the time. You're keeping your body guessing, which is good for hypertrophy and shocking the body, like I mentioned. And I'm telling you, there's so many different muscle fibers in the body that are only going to get accessed with slightly changing the angles of all the exercises you're doing. So if you're constantly doing new exercises, you should be good to go. All right, well, hopefully that shed some light on the subject. Obviously, do what feels good to you. This is just somebody who's been personal training for the last 15 years, lifting weights since I was 16. I've done it all. And the reason I even started this Over 40 podcast is because of all the issues I'm having being over 40 and the aging process and looking at the long game of, you know, I want to be in my hundreds and I want to be looking good, feeling good, still aesthetically pleasing with a good amount of lean muscle mass. And these are the things that I've had to change and correct to make sure that I can go the distance. All right, I'll leave it at that. As always, in the show notes, if any of you in my audience want to chat with me, I always do a free 15-minute Zoom consultation to see if I can answer any of your questions, point you in the right direction. Other than that, thanks for listening, and I'll check you on the next one. Thanks for listening. If you've been enjoying this podcast and other podcasts like it, and have ever thought about doing your own, I highly recommend it. There is hardly any competition in the podcasting world compared to all other social media channels. Actually, I started a new podcast called Step by Step Podcasting, where I'm using that actual podcast and going in sequential order of doing what I did for Over 40 Fitness Hacks over the course of 3 years and hoping to do it in 6 months with this podcast. So if you're at all interested, check it out and check out my link for Descript in the show notes. It's an editing software that has literally saved my life in the podcasting world. Check it out, or I'll catch you on the next one of Over 40 Fitness Hacks. If you'd like a little bit of help checking out your diet and your current routine, I'd be happy to help. I always do a free 15-minute Zoom consultation for anyone, no strings attached, just to see if I can help point you in the right direction. So if you're interested, check out the show notes. The link is at the top.